This is Build It Baby, the show for big ideas, brave pivots, and bold next chapters. So let's do it. Let's build it, baby. Hey there, Penelope Bent here. Welcome to Build It Baby. You know, most people aren't actually afraid of building something. They're afraid of the uncertainty that comes with it. They want guarantees before they move, proof before they trust themselves. But here's the truth. Certainty has never been the price of a meaningful life. So I say, let's do it. Let's build it, baby. So just the other day, someone asked me, I thought, one of the most beautiful questions about entrepreneurship. The question was about the risk and what was required for the emotional safety that they felt would be required in order to start building, a business venture. And you can only imagine my first response, which was, WTF, getting out of bed is a risk. You could trip over your damn slippers. And then it hit me that we talk about risk like it only lives in business, when really it's everywhere. It's just part of being alive. It is part of our lives, our everyday lives. I mean, crossing the street is a risk. So I'd like to suggest, instead of looking at uncertainty only in terms of a business venture, I believe we should start thinking about it in terms of our everyday life. And I think if we look at life, I think there's just a few real clear basics. Life itself, it is a risk. It's loaded with uncertainty. And I actually believe that that's by design. I think that the universe, or, if you want to call it God or life itself, I think that uncertainty is part of that creative process. That was the part that was kind of woven in to the texture of what this thing that we call life. So if uncertainty is built into life, then I think that what matters most isn't about avoiding it. I think what really matters here is how we choose to move with it. And I think if we think about it as being there by design, then I believe the goal shouldn't be to try to remove the risk. That's what I think so many people focus on. Okay, how can we make sure that we aren't going to, step in a ditch here, or lose our investment capital, and so on and so forth. But when you really analyze this, and at least from my perspective, I believe that the quality of what you build will always be directly connected to the strength of you, the builder. So with that being said, I believe the goal should be to find the strength that you can create, the risk muscles, if you will, that you as a builder can strengthen, so that you minimize your discomfort with this thing that is never going away, called risk or uncertainty. I know so many folks today they want to, everything has to be really comfortable. And we'll talk about that in another podcast. But I think that to strengthen our risk muscles, if you will, I think one of the first things we can do, number one, is let's take a look, or if you wouldn't mind, if this is an issue you're dealing with, ask yourself, what are you waiting for certainty before you move? What situation are you just waiting for it to be absolutely perfect before you make a move? I mean, I think most people, when they get married, they want to believe that this is perhaps going to be my soulmate, my lifelong partner. But gosh, being married, that's a huge risk. People change. There's a lot of uncertainty with marriage, yet people do it all the time. I think that maybe we need to look at the fact that we don't need guarantees. Maybe we just need to just take a little toe and dip it into the water. See how deep the unknown is. How deep is the unknown in building a business that you're concerned about the risk of it? I mean, you would probably be incredibly surprised at how quickly you'll adapt to the uncertainty, how you'll come up with ideas that solve those problems that you were sure that were causing you so much discomfort. And then number two, I think it's really important to ask yourself, what support are you pretending you do not need? I got to tell you, trying to build a life, a business, a career alone, it's not a good recipe. It's not a noble proposition. It's exhausting. It doesn't have half of the thrill that doing it with others would bring. So support doesn't need to make you feel weak. So support makes you sustainable. It's what we all need. I remember when I was very young and we, bought my first business and so on. The family support, we bought it from a family member, and the support that we received from the family in helping us understand how the business had operated for years, what was successful, what was not successful. We were able to learn from their experiences, to take from them. Without that support, I mean, there are things that I learned when I was 22 years old that I still, am adamant today that, keeping regular business hours, showing up on time, things that I learned from the support of others. I learned those early on, and I have used some of those amazing bits of wisdom for my entire career and throughout my entire life. So please understand that asking for support or surrounding yourself with those that can help you, that's where you find the real strength in handling risks and handling some of those unknowns, because you do have some of that support there. And then I think one of the most important questions to ask yourself is, when was the last time you trusted yourself and it worked? When was the last moment? Try to look back and try to kind of quiet the outside noise and look back at other experiences you've had. Try to focus on those that came from your intuition. Perhaps it was when you went to buy a used car and you thought to yourself, oh, hell, this is just too good to be true. Or maybe it was a relationship that looked so perfect on paper, but somewhere deep down you knew it was just not a good fit. That's all you. That's all your inner knowings. We're all equipped with it. There's an intuition that I think if the universe is giving us risk, it's also giving us the answers. It's giving us the intuition, the gut feeling that you go, oh, hell no, this isn't going to work. We need to change this, that, or the other thing. I don't think life just throws, mud in your face and throws risk at you without giving you the strength and the knowledge to be able to handle it. Sometimes we just forget. Sometimes we get into panic and we forget that we've overcome pitfalls that were surprising at the last minute, pulling it out by the skin of our teeth kind of thing, or whatever they call it, the last minute, solving that problem at the very last minute. And then I think number 4 is to ask yourself if your current life structure, do you support courage? Are you surrounding yourself with a feeling of, I can do it? Are you eliminating the negative Nelly talk? Or does everything, are you your own hall monitor? Everything's got to be in control. I've got to have everything absolutely in control before I can make a move. I mean, the pressure, talk about emotionally uncomfortable. Control is, in my opinion, is a hell of a lot harder than the risk. Hey, to give me risk any day. Try to put me in a box and be fearful because I have to have everything so perfect. I take uncertainty over that one anytime. I think it's important for you to understand that your life is built to learn how to take risks. And if you're trying to keep everything predictable, you're not going to help build courage. Courage needs room. It needs time. It needs space. And it needs a little bit of flexibility. It needs that little bit of, oh gosh, I need to look at that because, that could be an issue. The more issues that you encounter, then the less risk along the way. And then this is one of the most important pieces, I believe, in entrepreneurship and life and risk-taking. And that is that I really believe in surrounding yourself with people that reinforce your growth rather than reinforcing your fear. Strong people build supportive infrastructures. They don't apologize for needing others. I mean, honestly, sometimes I look back on my career and, my auntie was very instrumental in my later in life. I'd lost my mother when I was very young. And so my auntie and my grandmother were two very, very supportive women. I think that, they just thought everything I did was absolutely fantastic. And I think that the one thing that I always remembered is my auntie sending me a bookmark. She knew I loved to read. And it said, and I still have it today, it was about, never quitting. She always had so much faith in me that faith that is where I found so much of my strength, because I respected my grandmother and my auntie, and I believed that if they could believe in me, then I could believe in me. So I think it's really important not to apologize for needing people. Surround yourself with those that love you and know that you're meant to build. You're evolving. It's something that you have a calling. And it's important to understand that you don't need certainty to begin. You just need to be honest with yourself. Be honest about who you are. And really be honest about what you've already accomplished. You cannot tell me that you got from A to where you are today without stepping in some doo-doo. I mean, we all have, and you survived it, right? You're capable of moving forward. You're stronger than you think when you remind yourself of all those moments. So when you take that inventory, I'll bet you'll find your courage. It may not be loud, but by God, it's consistent. And the more you trust your courage, the less uncertainty gets to run your life. It is so important. Go back, look at your previous experiences, and look at how you made your way out of that mess. And remember, you did it. And if you did it once, you can do it again. Life was never meant to feel safe. It was meant to feel alive. Somewhere along the way, I think many have started confusing discomfort with danger, fear with the wrong path, and uncertainty with bad planning. And let me tell you, folks, that's simply not how growth works. In business or in life, uncertainty is what brings that new information. It may give you the new direction, the new tool, a new skill. It's often the only way we discover something we couldn't have planned for, or something we couldn't have built without that learning, without that experience, and without the gift of uncertainty. The gift and certainty of uncertainty will give you knowings that you will take with you the entire time of your life, through the whole ride, the whole path, the ups and downs, the roller coaster ride. That uncertainty can be one of your greatest gifts. So here's the part where I tell you exactly what I know. These are my knowings, the things I no longer question because they've shown themselves to me again and again. Not from a book, but from building, getting knocked down, getting back up, and doing this work in the real world. Okay, so here are my knowings. I know that building my life requires a very strong foundation. My friends and family, they gave me the courage to be me. Without them, I may have never taken my first step. Without them, I have no idea what my life would have been like. I know that it would not be as great as it has been. Number 2, I didn't come into the world with all the answers at my fingertips. It just wasn't meant to be that way. Those answers were all learned along the way. That's been the best part of the journey. I've learned so much. Many things I've learned were from the good times, but I learned a lot from the shit times too. So just remember, you didn't come into the world knowing all the answers. That's the best part of the ride, discovering the answers. And number 3, I am so very grateful for the opportunity to be free. Free to build my life, my way. And with my inner knowing, I know that the soul, or my God spirit, I know it's always there to help me find the guts that I need to keep moving and to keep building bold and living bold. That's all coming from somewhere deep inside, some gift that I believe we were all given at birth. So those are my knowings. Okay, so it's time for listener questions. Here we go. This is from Jessica in San Rafael, California. Oh, great question. Did you ever miss an opportunity, one you wished you had taken? Well, gosh, Jessica, my answer to that is never. Capital Never. Nope. I don't believe any opportunities are ever lost. I believe that there's always the right time. If something didn't feel right and I didn't move forward on it, and maybe, it turned out to be a great investment, that's okay, because a better one came along right behind it or down the path. I think that there are, I've heard so many people say, I should have invested in this, or I didn't invest in that, or I was offered this opportunity and I didn't take it, and I'm, kicking myself around the block for the last 25 years because I didn't take that opportunity. I just don't believe any of them were missed. I believe that was exactly where you should be. I believe there was just something that didn't fit, even though, it may have been perfect for the other guy. If it had been perfect for you, I think you would have had the knowing. I think there would have been a push. I think that it would have been something that, you would have been thrown into it, even kicking, if it would have been absolutely perfect. So no, I've never experienced anything that I have any regrets that I didn't grab the brass ring on that one. There's been just so many brass rings that'll come your way. That, one of the biggest pieces of life and of growing is that don't ever believe that there's only one brass ring. There's just a shit pile of them out there. They will keep floating into your world and into your universe, into your life, as long as you just keep looking for them. If we get stuck on the one we didn't grab or the one we didn't throw perfectly into the hole, then how are we ever going to see the new ones coming our way? So I always say, don't look at the past, the things that you may have missed, because by looking at the past, you're missing just a whole lot of future. And I'm a strong believer in I look forward. Every day when I wake up, I look forward. I make peace with any mistakes that I have made in the past. I've asked for forgiveness, whether it's from the universe or the person that I may have offended at the time. But that's all part of life. Just keep moving, keep looking forward. You'll find your brass ring, and it'll be absolutely perfect. Thank you, Jessica. That was a great question. Well, it is that time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Build It, Baby. And please remember, life is uncertain by design. The work isn't to make it safe, it's to make the builder, you, stronger. That's when building becomes its most powerful. Always best, P. Build It Baby is a Rainy Day Production House original, hosted by Penelope Bent and produced and edited by Morgan Clymer. Music by Yuri Shemshashen and Oleksiy Holobiev. If this episode spoke to you, please follow the show and leave a review. It helps more dreamers like you find us. And remember, you're not just building a bold business or a career, you're building a bold life.